everyone, my name is Steph, this is Kidlit Joy and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm here to review a young adult mystery book, My Family and Other Suspects by Kate Emery. This was sent to me for review by Allen and Unwin last year, I think around October 2024, and I've finally had the opportunity to sit down and read it, and it's a really interesting book. I think this is perfect for anyone who loves a bit of a murder mystery, because this is the story of Ruth, and she's 14 years old and she finds herself caught up in a bit of a murder mystery. The blurb on the back says, Ruth is not thrilled to be spending the weekend at the family farm visiting the ancient Gigi, her coolly distant step-grandmother. With no internet or phone coverage, Ruth occupies herself by rereading old Agatha Christie novels, eavesdropping on the adults, and definitely not daydreaming about her sort of cousin Dylan. But when Gigi dies under suspicious circumstances, Ruth's dull weekend turns into an enforced family holiday / possible murder investigation, and she's not about to let the police get in the way of her chance to solve a real-life murder mystery. With Dylan as the Watson to her Holmes, Ruth soon discovers that plenty of people had reasons to be rid of Gigi, and her list of suspects grows to comprise everyone in the house, including, in the interest of fairness, herself. So this is a young adult book that does highlight the complexities of family, because families are complex, and Ruth and her dad are staying alongside her aunt, her step-aunt, their partners, and also her sort of cousin Dylan, who is the son of her step-aunt. The book opens very dramatically with one of her uncles being taken off in an ambulance to hospital because they think he's been bitten by a snake because he tried to pick it up with tongs. And that becomes a reoccurring theme with Nick, the uncle, who seems to just have tragedy befall him at every turn. Because he's in hospital, everyone decides to stay an extra day, and then overnight, Gigi is killed, and not in a very pleasant way either. Suddenly, everyone in the family becomes a suspect, and Ruth, who's just an avid mystery solver, cannot help but try to figure this out, including sneaking into the crime scene after the police have been through, eavesdropping on all of the adults, hiding under the bed, finding out some secrets about the adults that they didn't want anyone to find out about, and just adding to the general mystery and chaos of the situation. Dylan, who is sort of maybe her cousin, is involved in this, and he is tagging along. He is 16 years old, they've known each other for ages, and they are trying to puzzle out exactly what happened to Gigi and how people in the house might have been involved. And along the way, we also meet some other characters. We have the local police detective, we have a local neighbor, as well as a man that turns up randomly because one of the other uncles befriends him while surfing at the beach. This is a very contemporary fiction book. It does break the fourth wall. Ruth talks to the audience often, giving us hints that, you know, she's retelling the events of what happened after the fact. And so as she's retelling the story, she gives us hints saying with things like, well, we thought this at the time, but we would later find out that we were wrong, leading you into the next chapter, which obviously creates incentive for you to keep reading. I'm not the target audience necessarily for a young adult mystery story. That's just not something that I generally pick up. I'm definitely not the target audience either, just in general for young adult. However, I found that this was a really great book, particularly because it fits into a category of young adult that I think is maybe not as prevalent or maybe not as well marketed as other books in young adult, in that it will really appeal to the younger YA end of the spectrum, because Ruthie is 14. She reads like a 14-year-old. She's very precocious. She gets into trouble. She does things that she is told not to do constantly, and she is still a kid. And so some of the decisions that she makes are the decisions of a young teen. And I think that's something that's really needed in books, because we tend to get a lot of very big marketing campaigns for books that are clearly targeted at the older end of the YA spectrum. I also love that it's Australian. It's set in Western Australia, so that is referenced quite a bit. And the writing was really fast-paced and compelling, particularly when we get into sort of the last third of the book as well. Things start to happen really quickly as more clues are revealed and Ruthie begins to catch on to what might actually be happening. So thank you again to the publisher for the review copy. I'm glad that I finally got around to picking it up, and I'm sorry that it took me so long. In the description below, I will leave links to where you can find out more information about the book and the author. And I'd love to know if you have picked up My Family and Other Suspects, or if you have recommendations for similar books that people might be looking for, particularly if those recommendations do sit in that younger YA category, because I think, as I said, it's a category that we need to promote more, particularly as we have kids coming out of primary school and into secondary school. They're really looking for good young adult books, but they don't necessarily need all of the older content that you get, and which is usually for 16, 17, 18-year-olds, which is not to say that that is a bad thing. That's just a trend in the market. If you want to let me know that you're here but you don't leave a comment, feel free to leave a brown box emoji to let me know that you're here, because there is a box that goes missing that Ruth is trying to find within the story. Otherwise, I hope that wherever you are in the world, you're staying safe and healthy, and I will see you in my next video. Thanks so much for watching. Bye everyone.